since LSU last beat Georgia, and this is a very talented Tiger team, but they cannot be intimidated by the Gym Dogs.
Nikki Butler will take over on vault for LSU.
Performing the Yurchenko layout full, the most popular vault in college gymnastics. It's scored out of a 10, and she does an excellent job nailing the landing.
Well, Nikki leads this team on the vault with an average of 9.86 for the season.
And I can't emphasize the importance of those stuck landings. We heard Dee Dee mention that that would be key at this competition. 6 girls compete, 5 scores count. So if everyone takes a step on the landing, that's a loss of a half a point on this event.
Certainly going to want to count that score, a 9.9 for Nikki Butler. That's the 4th meet in a row she's had that score. Georgia, though, is going to be going on bars in this rotation, an event that Suzanne Yoklin says is key.
We need to start out strong on bars. Bars, as I said, has been, an event that we've struggled on a little bit. I think that it's probably the event that LSU is obviously better than Georgia. I think that's the only event that LSU is better than Georgia on, is the uneven bars. So if we can hold our own there and not get too far behind bars for bar routines, then I think we can come out strong in the end.
Katie Heenan, this is one athlete Georgia can get a big score from. She was a medalist at the 2001 World Championships on this event, but she's had some consistency problems this year because of her difficulty. Take a look, 4 directly connected major elements. This time she's on. And the dismount is very difficult as well. A double front blind landing, and she nails it. That's the kind of performance Georgia wants.
Absolutely. Georgia has 4 freshmen in their bars lineup. Katie Heenan is one of them, but if they all perform like this, they'll be doing all right.
This is a crucial element right here. The half pirouette into the Shaposhnikova. She has to finish the half turn in handstand to give her that right timing and consistency into that release move.
Katie Heenan receives a season high 9.875 on bars. Great score for Georgia. Meanwhile, the 2004 SEC Gymnast of the Year, April Burkholder, is ready on vault.
Another Yurchenko full in the laid out position, and another fantastic landing for LSU.
April Burkholder brings so much energy, and boy, she gets them started here in this first rotation.
The crowd here is chanting 10, 10, and rightfully so. There's not much wrong with this vault. Nice straight arm block off the table, good height and distance, a nice stretch position in the air, and of course the landing.
And a big score to go along with it, a season high 9.95 for April Burkholder and LSU. Can Georgia's Kelsey Erickson keep up on in? You missed some big scores already by both Georgia and LSU. We've shown you 3 season highs so far. Georgia's Kelsey Erickson looking to maybe continue that streak as she goes on bars.
It's obvious both these teams are pushing each other to another level. Kelsey's competing in the all-around tonight, and she's got a big bar routine planned here with 2 major release moves. The first one was Zakachev, and it was sky high. And here comes the second one, a piked Jaeger. That's an E-level skill, one of the most difficult skills you can do on this event. More difficulty in the dismount, a blind landing, and she's so disciplined getting those arms out, bending the knees. Bars coach Jay Clark, very pleased with his lineup tonight. Congratulations to him. He was promoted to co-head coach this year. Here's Kelsey's piked Jaeger. Very important to get enough height and distance so you don't catch your heels on that high bar.
Well, our streak of season highs continue at 9.875, the best this season for Kelsey Erickson. Up now for LSU, Ashley Claire Kearney, the freshman on vault who won her first individual event title on this event in the last meet.
An extremely powerful athlete. Certainly an attribute on this event. Another Yurchenko layout full, and the Tigers are giving nothing away on their landings.
Wow, just back and forth with great scores in this one.
Not quite as high as April's vault, but take a look at the distance on this vault. And of course, the bent knees, not a single movement on that landing.
She ties a season high with a 9.925. Dee Dee Bro's got it like that, getting her fans into it a little bit. And you know those fans can get rowdy here at LSU as well. They should. Look at that score for the Tigers. A 49.425 is the best this season and the 4th best in school history. So what a start for LSU. Now it's up to Ashley Kupets for Georgia to get them a strong score as the final performer in this rotation.
And Ashley has a crucial connection right here at the start, and she goes for it. The giant 1.5, and here comes the release move. Excellent job. In past competitions, she has watered that down and just done the giant half into it. What an amazing competitor to be able to pull out the big difficulty when a competition is this close and up against such tough competition as LSU. And the dismount nice and high, just a small hop on the landing. Another great routine for Georgia. Boy, this is turning out to be a big competition.
Ashley knew she needed a big score, and as you said, Lori, going for those big moves.
Two of the most difficult skills in the book, the giant 1.5 into what's called a Shushinova. That's a full twisting Tkachev, a major release move, and a major score for Georgia.
Ashley Kupets gets a 9.875. She is in the all-around for the first time this season. And there you see Georgia's score from the first rotation, a 49.275. Natalie Taylor is standing by with the Georgia coach.
Thanks, Jen. Now, Coach Jacqueline, you said that the bars was the key event for you. Did the girls get the job?
The lead over Georgia after 1, but in the second rotation, the Gym Dogs will be on vault, an event that has been very strong for them as of late, coming off a season high 49.275 against Florida. And one of the leaders for this team this year, a role that maybe she's not quite used to, is senior Michelle Emmons.
It's a very different role for me, actually, because there was a class of 6 sophomores, juniors, seniors ahead of me, that whole class before me, and they were so huge, so I was always just looking up to them, and then next thing you know, I was at the top. So it's definitely been hard and different, and with my personality, I would like to lead more of just examples instead of, you know, yelling at the girls and saying, you need to do this. It's kind of hard for me to do, but I mean, I just try and be there for them, give them support.
Michelle's having a fantastic senior year. She's increased her difficulty on several events, including this one, and she's getting better and better with every competition. Take a look at the distance on that vault. She lands at the very end of the landing mat. Excellent job.
Michelle, the only senior on a very young Georgia team, and doing a good job of leading in this event for sure.
Take a look at the collar. That's the mat around the board. Very important for safety reasons. You see that Michelle hits the end of the vaulting board and the end of the table. That's why she gets that incredible distance, but it's almost a little bit scary.
Well, she gets a 9.9 for it. She survives with a big score. LSU preparing to compete in this rotation on bars. This is an event where the Tigers are very strong. You remember Georgia coach Suzanne Yocklin saying that this is an event that she admits LSU is better than Georgia. So we'll see just how good they are. One of the best gymnasts in the country, April Burkholder, competing now.
Uprise to handstand. Both Dee Dee and Suzanne have mentioned the importance of the stuck landings and the handstands on this event. There's assistant coach Philip Ogletree stepping in when needed on those major release elements. Dee Dee says Philip has done an excellent job in preparing this team. Nice dismount double loud, but she does take the step on the landing, a very obvious deduction.
Well, April had a big score in the first rotation, 9.95 on vault. That put her in the lead in the all-around, but we'll just have to see how she scores on this one.
There's her release element. It's called a ginger. She does an excellent job in tapping her toes up. That gives her tremendous height. Very beautiful.
April Burkholder with a 9.8. That is below her season average just a little bit, but still a good score. And we'll see the freshman, Katie Heenan, again for Georgia.
Again, the Yurchenko full. Oh, just a tiny movement of that back foot. An excellent vault.
Katie had a great performance in the first rotation, season high 9.875 on bars, and she follows it up with a strong vault.
This vault is scored out of a maximum of a 10, and that is what every team is looking for. 6 vaults scored out of a 10. Slight elbow bend on the horse, and then just that tiny movement of the heel, half-tenth and a half-tenth, so a 9.9, good score.
Yeah, I think the Georgia Gym Dogs will take that 2 season highs, but Lisa Rennie is ready to compete for LSU.
The human machine on
back in Baton Rouge. The LSU Tigers leading the Georgia Gym Dogs after one rotation, but we're just about halfway through rotation number 2 now. Georgia maybe trying to pick up some slack, and Lisa Rennie trying to help the LSU Tigers stay out in front.
Lisa says this is her favorite event, and she has a routine packed full of very intricate elements. Starting with this section here, toe on, she pirouettes in and out of that eagle grip. Extremely difficult hand position. Back down to the low bar. Oh, almost a mistake right there. 1/10 deduction for the big arch in the back. Taking it home, dismount, front with a half. She kicks open, finds the landing. Pretty good routine.
And this is really Lisa's specialty. She does do 3 events for LSU, but this is the one where her average is the highest.
From eagle grip, a full pirouette on one arm, that's called a heelie. Very difficult, intricate pirouette work. Down to the low bar for the shoot over to handstand. Yes, she struggles a little bit with her form there, but she did hang on. She could have taken a 5/10 deduction in the fall.
Lisa hangs on for a season high 9.85, just kind of gives you an idea of her potential. She hits that handstand, that score is going to go even higher. Meanwhile, the final performer in rotation number 2, Ashley Kupets for Georgia.
And finally, we're going to see some variety in the style of vaulting here. So difficult, half onto the horse, front pike, but boy, she takes that big step on the landing.
Ashley not quite able to stick that landing as Coach Suzanne Yaklund would hope that she would do at the end of that vault.
Much more difficult vault to nail than the more common layout full. The half onto the table makes this vault a little more advanced in terms of the technique and timing, plus the blind landing. There's no view of the mat. It's so difficult to nail it.
Well, Ashley Kupets receives a 9.775 to round out the scoring for Georgia in this second rotation. Gym Dogs receive a 49.225, very good score. Maybe trying to make up a little of that room on LSU, but the Tigers still have one competitor remaining. Annie Gagnon on bars, and she holds the top mark in the SEC on this apparatus this season with a 9.925.
She has excellent form on this event. Beautiful body positions and line. Nice quick handstand to start the routine off. That element there, a major release move, is called the Horkina. Well, another problem with a handstand there, going over, but she's covering up with a half turn and a switch kip on the low bar. Again, that could have been devastating for LSU, a possible fall, but she covers up. And the dismount, beautiful stretch position in the double layout, and a good landing.
So we're seeing these LSU gymnasts making a few little mistakes, but finding a way, Lori, to keep them little and not turn them into big mistakes with a fall.
We are seeing some tremendous fight from the Tigers here. Remember, every dual meet competition is a learning experience. They need this type of experience against tough opponents like Georgia to prepare them for the big meets like SECs and regionals, and of course nationals.
Yeah, that's a big one coming up at the end. Well, LSU finishes rotation number 2 with a 49.1. Good score, but not quite as good as Georgia's in this rotation. The Gym Dogs able to make up a little room. Dee Bro trying to rally her troops for the next rotation. LSU still leads. We'll see if Georgia can continue to close that gap when we come back. Event where LSU has put up the best score in the SEC this season with a 49.4, so they're capable of putting up some big numbers, and Lisa Rennie, one of those athletes who is a very strong competitor on this apparatus, a competitor who Dee Bro likes seeing up there on the beam.
She's got a beautiful series on beam. When she's solid on beam and has her groove on, she does as good a beam as anybody in the country.
When she has her groove on, I guess that means being in the zone, and for LSU, Dee mentioned it earlier, that's the purple zone. Very important to stay focused on this event, to block out the crowd noises, what your competitors are doing on the other event, and any negative thoughts. So important to stay positive. Beautiful positions, pike jump into a pike kick out, swing down. The added difficulty in this tumble series, one of the most difficult ones in this competition. One arm, back handspring, layout, and she's solid as can be.
Boy, Elisa has won the last 2 beam titles for the Tigers, and with that kind of performance, you can sure see why.
Nice execution in her jumps. Looking for that full split, that 180-degree split. And a very interesting dismount. She goes front handspring into a gainer full. Another excellent routine for Lisa.
I don't know, Lori, would you say she's in a groove? I think she was in a groove for that routine.
Absolutely, and you could tell right from the start with the round-off layout, mount, solid, and of course this new tumble series. 3 C-level acro elements directly connected and not a wobble.
And not a bad score there for Lisa Rennie, a 9.925 for the LSU Tigers. The Georgia Gym Dogs will be on floor in this rotation. This is an event where they can really shine. They're coming off a season high against Florida.
A crucial routine for Georgia here. They've already had a fall, so now they're forced to count a 9.525. Kelsey is very capable of getting the big scores, scoring a 9.925 in her last competition against Florida. Opening pass, nice high, double pike, very clean on the landing. But take a look at the leg, it's bandaged. She's still recovering from a leg injury. She's toughing it out. She really has been stepping it up in her last several competitions.
When you talk about toughing it out, that's something that Suzanne Yochlin said she was looking to find in her freshmen, all those freshmen for the Gym Dogs this year, trying to see if they've got that fight, that killer instinct. Maybe we're getting a good example of just that from Kelsey Erickson.
First 2 events were extremely strong for Georgia. They were definitely pleased with their progress on those events. But now they have made some mistakes here. But again, we talked about every competition being a learning experience, especially for those young athletes. To learn very quickly that even though you do make mistakes, you have to tough it out, come back strong with the rest of the routines. Difficult final tumbling pass. Incredible endurance, and its big difficulty, a double tuck. Not a problem for Kelsey.
That's the reigning SEC Freshman of the Year you're watching on floor, and showing a little bit maybe why she received that honor.
Most definitely getting Georgia back on track here. LSU is hitting some nice beam routines. Georgia needs some big scores here, and Kelsey's going to get one, finishing with a strong double tuck, big tumbling, and nice presentation in this routine.
Yeah, how about a 9.9? I'd call that a pretty big score. Georgia coach Suzanne Yochlin happy with that one for sure. Meanwhile, Kelly Phelan up on beam for the LSU Tigers, coming off the first all-around title of her career against Arkansas.
Third event, and Kelly is a contender for the all-around in this competition as well. Very important tumble series there. 2 back handspring layout, big smile, very emphatic lunge position.
And Kelly is definitely still in that competition for the all-around, in 3rd right now, but just a 1/10 of a point separates her from the leader.
Slight deduction on the tuck full. We're also seeing a few deductions in her feet. Not quite fully pointed. She has a nice variety of skills, showing off some front tumbling there. Again, fighting for those landings, so important. Hear the music in the background. The routines are not choreographed to music. That's simply background music to help with the environment within the gym. It's also so difficult to do beam in utter silence. Excellent dismount from Kelly. Another solid performance for LSU. They are required to do 2 acro elements in combination, but most of your top, your elite beam workers do 3 in connection, like we saw Kelly, the 2 back handspring layout.
Kelly Phelan with a 9.75, but still to come for LSU. The SEC's top mark on beam this season comes from
the biggest, the baddest.
We are in the middle of rotation 3 here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Katie Heenan, the freshman, competing in the all-around tonight for the Georgia Gym Dogs. Get a chance to see her here on floor.
Most of the athletes open with big time back tumbling, but Katie mixes it up with front tumbling, and she struggles, missing her timing into the front tuck. Extremely tough break for Georgia. Remember, they've already had a fall. They're forced to count their first score of a 9.525, and now they will have to count another fall.
Well, Katie came into this event having had career highs on bars and vaults. She led the all-around coming into this rotation, but surely that score will hurt not only the team, but her individually in the all-around as well.
This is her 6th straight competition competing in the all-around. That's pretty big time for a freshman. And you have to remember, this is that tough part of the season. Everyone's a little bit fatigued. Their bodies are hurting. All those chronic injuries are really shouting at their bodies right now.
But just check out Katie's teammates on the side, kind of copying her every move.
That's what team competition is all about. Even through the thick and the thin, the falls and everything, it's so important to stay upbeat and to support your teammates. A fun routine in terms of dance, but a definite mistake at the beginning.
LSU's Kelly Phelan.
And as you mentioned, Lori, Georgia is going to have to count one of these falls now in their team total.
Katie was actually struggling with this tumbling pass in warm-up. Georgia could have chosen to water it down, to take it out, but this is not the SEC championships. This is not national championships. They wanted to push her to see if she could adjust here.
Well, an athlete who knows how to push herself for LSU is April Burkholder. What a phenomenal gymnast. And for more on her, let's go to Natalie Taylor.
Thanks, Jen. LSU's April Burkholder was last year's SEC Gymnastics.
Look at April Burkholder. You heard her say she just tries to get better. What a competitor she is.
That's a mark of a champion, someone who doesn't settle. Dee told me that April's a dream to coach. She's driven, she's quiet in the gym, and she's low maintenance in terms of her coaching needs. Starting off solid with a layout mount and 2 layouts in her tumble series.
Well, she might be quiet in the gym, but the word around this LSU team is she does quite a pre-meet dance routine in the locker room that kind of gets the team laughing and fired up before the meets.
It's as if she has 2 different personalities. In the interview room, she's pretty conservative and low-key, but when you see her out on this competition floor, it is all energy pumping up this team. And she gives the performances to match that personality as well. Switch leap to a sheep jump, a difficult jump there, and she takes a wobble. Edie mentioned her increased difficulty. We're going to see that here in the dismount. She warmed up a double pike, and she competes it as well, but not successful. Puts the hands down. That's a 5/10 deduction.
Well, April has really struggled with that dismount. She fell on the dismount against Arkansas, and again here we see her take a step and stumble to the mat.
The most difficult dismount of the competition. She's taking a lot of risk here. We're seeing a lot of the athletes just doing that basic gainer full and guaranteeing a stuck landing. But if you want to compete with the best in the country, you have to do difficulty like that. And right now is where she needs to get the practice.
And there you see April Burkholder score a 9.3, getting maybe a little consolation from Coach Dee Bro, because as you mentioned, she is such a competitor. Very disappointed with herself with that score, but LSU winds up with a 49.075 on the beam. But Michelle Emmons, the senior for Georgia, will finish it out for the Gym Dogs in this 3rd rotation.
Showing off her power and some of the biggest tumbling in the meet, opening with a sky-high double layout.
And if ever there was pressure on a senior to perform, this is it. Michelle needs to hit. Her team already has 2 falls on floor.
A little bit of a stumble there on her jump connection. Saw her warming up that over and over again during pre-meet. She can tumble, but if she makes mistakes, it's usually on those dance elements.
For for such the sweet little personality that Michelle has. She's got this pumpin' techno music in the background, very intense.
Sometimes choreographers choose to get a little bit more of an upbeat piece of music to really liven up a routine. And of course, you gotta match her big tumbling. Huge double layout to open, finishes with a double pike. I mean, that's explosive, great, difficult tumbling.
Some big tumbling passes there from Michelle Emmons.
Here's that opening tumble pass. You have to be so quick, get enough height to finish 2 rotations in that laid out position. A little bit of a leg separation there, but this should be a strong score for Georgia.
And it is a 9-9 for Michelle Emmons to finish up for the Gym Dogs on floor in rotation 3. Now they wind up with a 48.425. That is their lowest score on floor of the season. Those falls really hurt them. A couple of mistakes for both teams here, but LSU opens up the lead.
What?
Rotation, kind of like that fourth quarter. Go in there and win. You never know what these LSU gymnasts pull out, but whatever it takes to motivate yourself. You know, LSU is ranked number 2 in the country in this event. They should be fun to watch.
And it's all about school pride, and that's the great thing about college sports is these athletes feed off the success from other sports. It really runs rapid fire through the athletes. Nikki Butler opening with a huge triple twist, fully completed.
Nikki has scored a 9-8 or better on each of her 5 floor routines this season, so she can really score big.
We saw Georgia struggle here last event, and LSU has already had a problem. First athlete up suffered a fall, and we just saw Nikki Butler bail out of her second tumbling pass. She had planned more difficulty in that second tumbling pass, was off on her timing, and chose to only do a double twist. Final tumbling pass is crucial. It must be a double salto pass in order to meet the requirements that are outlined in the code of points, and she only does a front full. So not only did she decrease her difficulty, but she's missing a requirement, and that's going to affect her start value.
Wow, as you said, we saw Georgia struggle on floor in the last rotation. Now it looks like LSU's having a little bit of the same problems.
First athlete up scored a 9-1-2-5 because of a fall, and now this score will dramatically be affected because of this tumbling pass. Possibly she was supposed to do a 2.5 to a punch front to give her bonus and meet that requirement.
Instead, she gets a 9.275, by far her worst of the season, and now it comes down to a freshman who's next up, Ashley Claire Kearney, trying to get a big score.
We talked about LSU not being intimidated by this Georgia team. This win is within their reach, but they can't give it away here.
You know, 2 years ago, Lori, in this building, Georgia won by just .125 because LSU had 2 out-of-bounds deductions taken in the final rotation on floor. So this is very much still up for grabs.
Good memory.
Hey, you know, I try to pull some facts out every once in a while.
Oh, excellent tumbling pass there, double back. Again, we're seeing a very powerful athlete in Ashley. We saw it on vault, and we're seeing some tremendous height in her tumbling.
Well, and she's ranked 6th in the country in this event as well.
Really firing up the crowd with some fun dance. Heading into her final tumbling pass. Most athletes compete with 3 tumbling passes. It's a front one, front full to a front tuck and a solid landing. Just when LSU needs it, a strong routine for Ashley.
And how about that, a freshman, just a freshman, coming in and putting up a great performance.
Opening pass is a double pike. Not huge difficulty in terms of what we saw Michelle doing, the double layout, but she gets tremendous height and pretty clean landings as well.
Wow, and a 9-9 for Ashley. That's exactly what LSU needed here in this 4th rotation. And Georgia's going to be competing on beam. Never an easy thing to do, but when you've got an athlete like Kelsey Erickson, it makes it a little bit easier. She did win the last 2 all-around competitions, and already tonight, let's take a look at what she's done on bars. A season high, 9.875 to get started. Then on vault, this vault earns her a 9.775. And how about on floor? That big performance gives her a big score, a 9.9. That puts her in the lead for the all-around coming into this rotation.
Oh, and a solid start, front tuck to a wolf jump. Again, we're not seeing Georgia water down their difficulty. Slight wobble right there on her mandatory full turn. Tumble series here, back handspring layout. Very important to push out of the legs so that they stay straight through that entire tumble series. Usually we see Michelle Emmons as their start-off person, someone who's been consistent for Georgia over the last several years. And I think Suzanne's taking a little bit of a different approach here, putting Michelle later on in the lineup. She has some big difficulty, and they're hoping that they can up her scoring potential. And of course, Kelsey's been showing some great consistency over the last couple competitions. Quite confident through this routine. There's the dismount, cartwheel, gainer full, small hop on the landing, but a solid start-off routine.
So important for Georgia to get that strong start, because remember, the past 2 meets, they have had to count a fall on this event.
This is still that time of year when coaches are making those last-minute adjustments in terms of their lineup order, in terms of the routine composition, trying to see what is going to score the best.
Kelsey Erickson starts the Gym Dogs off with a 9.75, already cheering on her teammates, trying to get them ready to go. As you see, Kelly Phelan for LSU, currently ranked 17th in the nation. Did I just see her do a moonwalk?
I think you did. Anything goes on this event. It's about entertainment. And tumbling a little bit short on that opening pass, double pike. Dee Dee was a little bit concerned after their warm-up on this event. She felt that their legs were a little bit tired. Perhaps they'd done too much conditioning this week. And again, we have to mention, this is their 6th competition. They're a little bit fatigued, a little bit tired.
Oh, I just love the style Kelly is showing in this floor routine. I love the Michael Jackson mix going on in the background.
It's always fun to compete in front of the home crowd. After several competitions, the crowd really gets to know your routine. They know what's coming up. They cheer you on. Sometimes you actually see some of the younger gymnasts in the crowd dancing along with you. It's quite pleasing as for an athlete.
I just wonder if we're going to see her do that little zombie dance from the Thriller video.
No zombie here. Beautiful final pass. Front full to a front full. Nice job.
What a fun routine for Kelly Phelan. LSU needing some big scores.
Next on beam for the Gym Dogs.
Last tumbling pass, front full, immediate punch, front full. Excellent difficulty there. Showing a variety of skills throughout the routine as well.
Well, it looks like the LSU Tigers very pleased with Kelly. We'll finish this one up when we come back.
Hey, did you know an SEC soccer player runs over 5?
Just a couple competitors remain for both Georgia and LSU in this 4th rotation. Just a freshman on beam for Georgia, Nikki Childs. And the Gym Dogs have some making up to do. Came into this rotation down by 0.5 of a point.
You can already see the amazing quality in this gymnast. He's got beautiful toe point. Shows off nicely on this event. And she can score well. A 9.925 in her last competition against Florida. Beautiful extension in that switch ring. The judges are looking for that back leg to be at the height of the head. It wasn't a problem for Nikki.
And she's quite a performer, not just in gymnastics. Have you ever heard her sing, Lori?
I haven't, but I've heard the team gush about how wonderful she is. She's an amazing hip-hop dancer and singer. And it definitely comes through in her performance on the gymnastics competition floor as well. Oh, beautiful front aerial. One of my favorite elements on this event is the front aerial. Not a single wobble so far through this routine. Beautiful execution. Adds a unique combination into her dismount. We're seeing a lot of the athletes just do that plain old gainer dismount, but Nikki adds a switch leap to it, increases the difficulty, and there's that front aerial. So important to keep the shoulders and chin in line with the beam.
Nikki Childs comes up with a 9.875 for Georgia, and from a freshman to a senior. Senior Michelle Emmons competing now on beam, and she had a fall on this apparatus in the last meet. And as you said, Lori, she typically is the leadoff performer in this event, but Suzanne Yocklin switching things up a little bit.
Michelle has some of the biggest difficulty in this lineup, so they're hoping that they can increase her scoring potential, and she's crooked on her tumble series. 5/10 deduction and loss of that difficulty element. That means that Georgia has to count a low score because they have already suffered a fall.
Georgia has really struggled on beam the last few meets. You talk about every meet being a learning experience. Certainly this is one apparatus that they are taking their lumps on right now.
We talked about the youth of this team and some of the inconsistencies coming from the freshmen. But here we're seeing senior Michelle Emmons just not on her game tonight. And this is a great event for her. She is normally extremely consistent on this event. That's why in the past she has been that leadoff performer. Sometimes competing out of your traditional lineup order can be a little bit distracting, and that may be the case here. We talked about Michelle's big difficulty. That tumble series was extremely difficult, and it doesn't stop there. The dismount, a double pike, just like we saw April doing earlier, but this time Michelle hits it on her feet.
Michelle obviously disappointed there. You see her 9.325, a score that Georgia will have to count. They wind up with a 48.6 in this last rotation. But we're not through yet. Look at those numbers for April Burkholder, Lori. She's capable of putting up a 10, as she did against Arkansas in the last meet.
What an exciting moment for this team and for April. A perfect 10 in front of the home crowd. That is what gymnastics is all about, the pursuit of a perfect score.
And we talked about what a dancer she is. Just wait until you see this routine.
April choreographed this routine herself. She also helps choreograph several of her teammates' routines. It's a new one this year. Opening with a full in back out, solid landing. Nice execution of her jumps, a switch ring to a tough 1.5. She's getting bonus points through her jumps and leaps as well as her tumbling. To her front layout. She looked almost like she was a little bit out of control in that second element, but she knows her body. She knows exactly where she is at all times. And what makes her so good on this event, not only her presentation and her personality, but she's so quick twitch. She makes every element look so easy.
Look at her go. And look at her teammates too.
Again with the football jerseys on, bringing in that team spirit. Feeding off the success of the football team, and she finishes strong with a double tuck. We keep talking about April's increased difficulty. That last pass is more difficult than we saw her compete last year, and she also can add more difficulty. Perhaps she'll bring that out, the SECs or national championships. This is the kind of routine that can compete for a national title.
Boy, I thought their teammates almost lifted her up on her shoulders there, much like a football team would.
Next on beam, exhibition gymnast Courtney Pike.
Opening pass is a big one. Most of the athletes do a double back, but she adds a full twist to the first salto, and that increases the difficulty. Along with the double layout, that is the most difficult tumbling pass of the competition.
April Burkholder with a 9.9 to finish things up here in Baton Rouge. LSU gets a 48.775. Not a great score on floor, but you know what? It was enough for this meet. LSU winds up on top of the Georgia Gym Dogs, and Lori is standing by with LSU coach Dee Dee Bro.
Thanks, Jen. What an exciting competition. Congratulations on the win. Are you pleased with the performance?
I'm not pleased with the performance. I'm excited about the win. I'm happy to have the win, but I don't feel like it was our best performance. We can do so much better, but to be able to fight and eke out a victory is also a very important aspect of what we're trying to do with this team.
Look, in terms of your RQS, your regional qualifying score, you were hoping for a high 196, a 196.375. How does that help?
I don't know if it's going to help us. It'll help us in that we won't have to count a lower score later on. It's certainly going to be a good score, and it certainly stands as a good score right now in the country. But compared to what we've been doing, I would like to think that we could be a 196.5 and better.
Well, congratulations anyways. A win is a win. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you, Lori. LSU taking the team title, but it was Georgia's Kelsey Erickson winning the all-around for the third straight meet tonight. She winds up with a 39-3 to lead all competitors. What a battle it was all the way to the end. Both of these teams we'll see again at the SEC Championship, but tonight LSU gets the win. For Lori Strong-Ballard and Natalie Taylor, I'm Jen Hildreth saying so long from Baton Rouge.